Hi there and welcome to Sector Report, in which we take a look at the state-of-the-art metal monsters that work our crops and paddocks. We paid a visit to the first Ag in Action show ever held, just outside Hamilton. It's a state-of-the-art show for dealers in and importers of agricultural machinery and the contractors and farmers who buy that gear. We'll reveal the bewildering array of brands from all over the world. The days of just a few big players like Massey Ferguson and John Deere are long gone. We watch some of these giants at work and talk to leading importers. Plus, we get inside the heads of two industry leaders, Tractor and Machinery Association President Ian Massix and the man who heads up our only farm machinery dealer co-op, Dave Donnelly of the Origin Ag Group. But first, let's see some of these enormous machines in action and catch up with Peter Scott of AGCO. To the outsider, many of these complex machines are a mystery. What exactly do they do? Well, to the 2,500 punters, mostly contractors and farmers, who turned up to Ag in Action for a close-up look, the array of these machines, ranging in power from 35 to 350 horsepower, is simply poetry in motion. Andrew Reimer is an events manager who's been running tractor pulling competitions. For him and business partner Vaughan Coy, a showcase for machinery importers and dealers was a natural next step. So the two-yearly Ag in Action was born.
I guess we didn't actually come up with the idea. It was more that we've just copied what happened overseas. The trend has sort of been happening in England, or in fact all the world, that they've gone from static shows to the demonstration events. The big one in England that we sort of modelled this off was called Grasslands, or Grasslands and Muck. And so, no one really came up with the idea. It was actually the momentum, and there's been talk about it in New Zealand for years and years really, and it just took a spark to get it going and just someone to actually just get it started, and the dealers took it over from there, or the importers, I think they feel a real sense of ownership of the show. It wasn't so much that we've put on a show and they've come to it. It's like this is their show, or we are the facilitators. So, they'll steer it if they want it to go this way or go that way, or it'll be 3 times a year or every 3 years. That's up to them. We won't make the rules. We'll just sort of work with these groups that they want to show, and we'll put it on how they want it. The money some of these companies spent is just unbelievable to get it here and really showcase their products, and it's been great to see. 3 weeks ago this was just a farm with a plot of land, and just to see all the flags flying and all the gear here. Like we were standing at Norwood's, I think they had 214 odd individual items of equipment, and so the investment these companies have put into this show has just been really, really great to see. The approach we took this year was a little bit the fire within, so every brand that exhibited here got 100 tickets and to hand out through their dealer network throughout New Zealand. So they handed tickets, free tickets to come in from all the right people. They knew who was looking for new gear, who was sort of in the hunt for it, and so we got the people in through that dealer network rather than just broadacre sort of advertising. Our approach is that you can put a big pink Ferris wheel up and get thousands of people here, but there's not a lot of point. Those 100 tickets, those 100 guys hopefully will buy a tractor, so you're better for those 100 than 10,000 people on the Ferris wheel. That's sort of been the philosophy, It's a serious exhibition. It's just about machinery. It's certainly not even about agriculture. We've turned down a lot of agriculture things, quad bikes, utes, lawnmowers, dairy shed feeding systems. We've said, look, this is just about machinery, and there's got a very specific target audience.
Massey Ferguson had a huge presence up against its main competitors at Ag in Action. That brand is one among several that Peter Scott's AGCO imports into New Zealand.
AGCO John are the global manufacturer and distributor for brands such as Massey Ferguson, tractors, front-end loaders, hay tools, combines, harvesting equipment. We also own other brands represented here in New Zealand, such as Fendt from Germany and Valtra from Finland.
So what sort of interest have you had from farmers coming along to this show so far?
Very good. We are very pleased with the quality of the people we're talking to, if that's the right way to put it. It's the exhibition here, the Ag in Action, is very focused. They know the market they want to reach, which is our people buying our type of equipment. So we're very pleased. I've yet to see numbers confirmed, but I think most of our dealers, particularly the local ones, are very pleased with the turnout, and we've certainly seen a good number from Hawke's Bay, Taranaki, and even further afield, South Island and Australia. So that's good to see. It's a nice mix, really. It's certainly if there's such a thing as the average farmer, small to medium-sized farmer, where our equipment certainly suits the medium to large scale farmers, cropping farmers, and we're with our brands, Fendt in particular and Massey Ferguson, we're very strong in the contractor market as well. So it's quite a reasonable range of agricultural users, yeah.
So do you think you'll be back next year?
I think it's the intention's biennial. So, and we will have a discussion with our dealers next week, just to see what the feedback is, because at the end of the day, it's their event, and that we'll make the decision then. But at the moment, we're certainly looking very positively at coming back, and we think the concept's a good concept.
It must be a bit pricey to cart these machines here.
Yeah, and that is always the biggest part of the cost of these events is probably for distributors that are based elsewhere in the country, certainly having it consistently in the Waikato, if that's where they have it. You're moving some big gear that costs thousands of dollars per unit to move. There is talk that they may alternate it with a South Island event, so that will suit some of the other distributors. And certainly we have a warehouse there as well, so we could do that quite well.
What would be the advantage of this sort of show over field days when, of course, you get huge interest?
For our end user, I think it's a little more relaxed because you don't have the crowds. The other advantage is that there are people that want to see certain machinery working, and we can give them a time and say, if you're back at, say, 2:30, you can see this particular baler or cultivator working. And I think that's the big advantage of this event.
Peter Scott of AGCO there. I'll be back in a moment with some insights into the farm machinery business when I chat with Tractor and Machinery Association President Ian Massix and with the head of our only dealer co-op, Dave Donnelly of Origin Ag Group. Well, Ian, welcome to the Sector Report program here on Country 99 TV. Now, to begin with, you are the president of the Tractor and Machinery Association, TAMA, I think you call it for short. So just what does TAMA actually do?
Well, TAMA's the association of basically the importers of machinery and tractors into New Zealand, and we're working together with transport laws, working with different sectors where we can try and make a difference if there's an issue or things that we can improve on.
So what sort of issues crop up for you?
Obviously there's certain transport issues that we have where obviously these large vehicles need to go on the road, and I mean that's one of the things we do is we work with a transport forum that we have is an agricultural transport forum, and we work to try and make sure that we are being seen on the road and clearly visible. I think it's very important. Some of this machinery is very large.
Yes, it is.
And it's part of our responsibility that we ensure that when we're selling these goods, that they're safe on the road for the operators.
Is the law clear for machinery on roads?
Yeah, I believe they are. Sometimes that it is there's the grey areas, and that's where we're trying to get rid of those grey areas. So in other words, if we have a machine that is just not quite where maybe they feel it measures up, and we need to get that clear. So the law is actually, as you say, very easy to enforce, I suppose is the word. Yeah.
Now, of course, one of your functions as an industry good organisation is lobbying the government. What sort of issues do you lobby them on? Obviously, there is the whole question of the law and your machines on the road.
Well, mainly, as we talked about, was the transport implications. There's a few other things that obviously depreciation is one on vehicles. Obviously, the depreciation on certain vehicles aren't quite high enough or low enough, depending on what we're doing. So we're obviously talking to them about those issues.
So how is the machinery importing and contracting industry, the people who buy from you, how has that been changing in recent times? I guess the sheer size of some of these machines would be one of the things.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, there's no doubting that, as we've talked about before, farms are getting bigger, and so is the machines. You know, we're now using bigger tractors, bigger machinery for what we're doing, and and the farmer requires is bigger gear. So we're looking at that sales probably not in number-wise getting a lot more, but we definitely do see there's a climb in the horsepowers that are being used. And looking forward into this year, it's looking very positive for that.
Now, with the recent increases in commodity prices, in terms of sales in your industry, is that already starting to flow through?
We are starting to see that. I mean, obviously the last 2 years have been quite challenging for the farmer as well as us, and we definitely have seen some increase in sales, and as I said before, it's looking very positive for this year and for years coming.
Well, thanks very much for your time today, Ian.
Thank you.
Well, next we go to another part of the grounds here, where I'll be talking to Dave Donnelly, who heads up Origin Agricultural Group. Well, Dave, welcome to the Sector Report here on Country 99 TV. Now, your group, the Origin Ag Group, is somewhat different in its ownership from the other importers we're seeing here at this Ag in Action event. How are you different?
We're a cooperative. Origin Ag Group is a cooperative, and we're owned by farm machinery dealers from the length and breadth of the country, and that's quite unique in all of Australasia. There are some similar business models in Europe that have farm machinery cooperatives like us. So it's an idea that we got from Europe, and it's worked very, very successfully for us.
Well, what makes your cooperative structure a success then?
Well, I think in essence people deal with people, as we all know, and it does sound a bit of a cliche and it's well overused today, but in our case it's very important, because to have our dealers involved as shareholders in our business, they have a sense of belonging and a sense of ownership. And I think for our farming clients that are buying farm machinery from us, it's equally important to them that service and backup and spare parts are paramount. When you're investing large amounts of money in capital equipment, that you have to be sure of having good service, good parts, good backup support. And with our dealers as shareholders in our company, they have a commitment to the product that they're selling and servicing to their client in their local region.
Now, you're not only different in your ownership structure from other importers, it's also in the type of equipment that you bring into the country.
Yes, well, we don't have anything with an engine in it.
No engine?
No engine, no. We specialise in attachments. Our belief is the most important part of equipment in a farming or contracting operation is the seed drill, is the cultivation, is the harvesting equipment. And really the tractor is a form of providing power to that implement. So it's important for the farmer to work the soil correctly, to preserve the soil structure, and to get the seed in at the correct level, the correct depth, at the correct timing. And our machines are very, very instrumental to be able to do that operation. And of course, at the other end of the scale, when the farmer or contractor comes to harvest, then the results are seen in how good the machine was at the beginning. So
it's very specific in its application.
Yeah, we specialise in a very large range of equipment, right from cultivation, fertiliser application, and to harvesting.
So a lot of your equipment, of course, is reliant on GPS?
Oh, more than more, John. Yes, we're finding it very commonly used now. Yes.
So in other words, you can get a fertiliser specific to 1 square metre of soil?
Correct, John. That's right, yeah. Farmers now are looking for low inputs but want high outputs, and that doesn't seem to make sense. Low input normally means low output, but in our case, by using this technology that's available, farmers and contractors can use the latest advanced technology, be careful with the use of fertiliser, get the precise amount on accurately and covered evenly, and that will help reduce the input costs, but not be detrimental to the yield of the crop and the output at the end of the whole process.
So does this pretty high-tech equipment, pretty sophisticated equipment, is it a big demand on the farmer in terms of his knowledge of how to use a computer?
Oh, no, John. Look, if I think back 5-6 years ago, yes, it was. But today, if you can use a cell phone, and most people can, no matter what age you are, you can use our equipment, even with this high technology equipment. The software now is so advanced, it's easy to use. In most applications, you don't even need to look at an operator's manual. It's all on the screen, push button, and the monitor or the controller tells you what to do next in the next operation. So use a cell phone, you can use our high technology equipment, John.
Good to hear. So what are the brands you bring in?
We have a multiple of brands. We import Alpago from Italy. It's been very well received. They're a specialist manufacturer that make power cultivation equipment, power harrows, rotor spike harrows, subsoilers and mulchers. We also import Pottinger from Austria, which make harvesting, cultivation equipment, seeding equipment, a very broad range. And just recently we've added to our stable Great Plains from Kansas, USA, which have been in this country for many, many years. And we're bringing seeding technology. And something new from them is vertical tillage, which has proven very, very popular in the States and North America. And we're starting to introduce minimum tillage. Systems have been around for a while, but vertical tillage is something really new and we're excited about.
Well, tell me about vertical tillage.
Well, vertical tillage is about not disturbing the layers within the soil structure.
Right.
It's about preserving that and preserving the organic material that is already in your soil structure. In the past, a lot of cultivation equipment has overworked the soil, which has broken down the soil structure, which has problems later on with soil erosion and also loss of fertility, and more importantly, moisture retention is the big one. We're having a much drier climates now, John, and farmers and contractors are looking to find ways of preserving the moisture in the ground.
Well, Dave, thank you very much for your time here today.
No, thank you very much.
Dave Donnelly there. Coming up, it's more machinery in action and a chat with Michael Luoni, who imports high-end machines from Germany. Ag in Action was all about hooking in potential buyers, but what was there to attract them? Well, there was plenty of well-proven equipment, such as John Deere's huge maize chopper dealing to a crop planted months ago, so it and other equipment could show off their paces. There was the German-manufactured Claas reversible plough, already much used around the country. Also from Claas, a vacuum planter, which attracted a lot of attention with its ability to carry more seed and fertiliser than any other brands, according to the company.
It's been exceptional. We're delighted to have it here. It just arrived in the country last week. We're able to assemble it. A lot of our customers have been waiting for it. We've sold 3 prior to it arriving. And we've probably had 8 to 10 very keen customers here. But we've pretty much had staff demonstrating that machine full time since yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, so it's been great draw card for us. That machine fully set up with all the bits and pieces on it is probably in the vicinity of $131,000. So for us it's a machine that our customers can see good value in. So I think it's the right product at the right price, and we're pretty confident we'll sell a number of them.
So what makes it superior, in your mind anyway, to some of your competitors?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one probably better asked of my technical people, but as I understand it, its major points is that it can plant very quickly at 15 kilometres an hour, so that gives increased productivity, and it can also hold increased volumes of grain and fertiliser. So both those points really aid to increased productivity.
Next, how about this German-produced remote-controlled mower which can clear brush on steep banks without putting a driver's safety at risk?
can go on slopes with the machine up to 55 degrees angle, sideways, depends on the ground condition.
On show for the first time was a class tractor with a cabin which rotates 180 degrees. Its makers claim the big advantage is that the driver can push or pull with the same vehicle. Then there's the AutoTrack GPS control system on this John Deere tractor.
What it is using GPS, we can set a straight line in the paddock and then we can get the tractor to follow that line. And yes, you're right, I don't need to be using the steering wheel. The only time I need to use the steering wheel is when I'm turning at the ends.
Probably one of the most exciting things John Deere have got is this integrated AMS GPS guidance. And this gives us a real chance to show the people what it's all about. Something new like that on a brochure, you can just not quite understand it, but the old adage of bums in seats and seeing a straight line driver driven from a Russian satellite up there, 16 of them, yeah, it's quite amazing. It's a bit of an eye-opener, even for somebody with my experience. I didn't think I'd ever see that day. It's huge if you stop and think about it, if you can get things in straight lines. Now, don't forget these things are quite accurate to within 5 mils. Now, you can imagine spraying a paddock and you've got no overlap. You obviously got no overlap at all with 5 mil accuracy. The savings in spray, the savings in material, particularly the savings in diesel, that's going to be a biggie for the future. With oil, looks like it could be climbing to, I hate to say it, but $200 a barrel, and I hope I never see it. But if that was a concept, this technology, it pays for itself very, very quickly.
National Field Days, look, it's been going for generations now, and it's a great event. But for us, the opportunity to get our machines in the paddock and demonstrate them, we've had working demonstrations, and that's the key. I think the role of the field days will perhaps change, and that may be a good place for us to go and schmooze our customers. But here we can, work the product in the field, and it'll be great.
Mike Leone echoes the sentiments of many exhibitors at Ag in Action. They're big fans of National Field Days, but this sort of show where they can put machines through their paces instead of being confined to a static display does have its advantages. So despite costs for some of the big boys of up to $100,000 for Ag in Action, they've all said they'll be back in 2 years. And that's our show for this week. I'll be back soon with another edition of Sector Report. Remember, you can catch up with the program on our website. See you next time.